Bonjour, bienvenue sur le plateau d'Informatique News pour notre rendez-vous hebdomadaire, l'invité de la semaine qui reçoit les responsables des entreprises IT présentes en France. Et aujourd'hui, nous avons le plaisir de recevoir le fondateur et le CEO de Nextcloud, Frank Karlitschek. Frank Karlitschek, good morning. Thank you for accepting our invitation and welcome to our show. Usually we're starting with a question about what's going on in the IT sector, not especially about Nextcloud, but the IT sector. What's come in your mind about that?
I mean, the main topic that everybody's talking about at the moment is the term digital sovereignty. So what's the dependency between Europe's IT and overall society with the US big tech companies? That's a big topic. It's actually escalating all the time with the latest development from the US administration about dependencies and what it means for the sovereignty of Europe. So that's a very big topic. For example, there was the Digital Sovereignty Summit a few weeks ago in Berlin between France and Germany, and this was really discussed on the highest political level. How can Europe be more independent? How can we control our digital future, our digital destiny? And where's the data, who has access to the applications and so on. So that's a very hot topic at the moment.
Mm-hmm. When did you think yourself thinking about that topic?
Well, I'm doing open source since 25 years.
So from the day one?
From the very beginning,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to start about presenting Nextcloud because I think a lot of our readers don't know the company.
Yeah.
And so you were founded in 2016. Mm-hmm. And I'm quoting what I've read on one of your documents saying that Nextcloud is a German open source company providing a fully self-hosted collaboration and content management platform. Mm-hmm. So that's the definition of what you're doing. So you have a lot of open source, German and collaboration, communication. So could you give some more detail about what you're doing exactly?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a collaboration platform. I mean, it's a bit of a weird term. You can basically compare it with Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace. So you can share your files, you can do chat, video conferencing, mail, calendar, contacts, Office, notes, and so on. So you can basically collaborate and work together over the internet with other people. That's very important nowadays, also with remote work, of course. The main difference to Microsoft and to Google and to Zoom and Slack and so on is that it's fully open source and you can really host it yourself. So that's also very important in Europe because you can keep your data local. We work together with lots of local service providers. You can really be completely independent but still collaborate with others. Another thing I want to mention is because you mentioned it's German, it's true that the company is a German company, but the organization is really truly international. So France is our second biggest market. We have lots of people here. We actually have people in 25 countries all over the world. So yeah, it's a German organization, but it's really international.
Mm-hmm. So when you say open source, it's 100% open source with people working on the R&D everywhere in the world.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
the idea.
Yeah.
How many people? Because when you compare your company to Microsoft, we're thinking, well, Microsoft has thousands of developers, but how many people are working developing all the pieces of your software?
Yeah, that's a very good question because we have a lot of people internally in the company, but the interesting thing is that we also have this community of volunteers from all over the world. We actually have many thousands of people coming together on our platform and developing it and improving in all kinds of areas. So that it's actually thousands of people.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like invisible, but in fact, in the real life, it's very present. And,
exactly.
It means a lot of people working to that.
Yeah, exactly.
But who is coordinating all that?
I mean, we're making sure that the quality is good, that the security is good, that the usability is good, there are review processes in place, but the actual direction of the product is not, it's really up to everyone. So there's no central person who decides this is the direction. It's really what people want. It can be added as a plugin, and if people like the plugins, develop it further. So it's really more, it's a very democratic process.
Mm-hmm. So because it's open source, did you use open source pieces of software existing, or did you start from scratch?
Yeah, this is one of the powers of open source because there's this saying that you're standing on the shoulders of giants, so you can build on top of the innovation of others. So we use lots of different open source components, and other people use our components.
Could you name some of them?
Yeah, I mean, there is a component called SaberDAV. This is like used for the WebDAV connection. Then we work together with the LibreOffice community for the Office components. Yeah, so lots of different libraries and components are part of it.
How are you aiming in terms of enterprise? Are they big companies, small ones? And what kind of sector? Is that everywhere? I suppose it's very horizontal, so everybody can use that kind of product.
A very good question, because usually you should focus on one area, but Nextcloud can be used like by home users on a Raspberry Pi at home for your friends and family, but it can also use for big governments, for big universities, big enterprises, so from very small to very big.
Do you have like, how do you make money? To tell
that's a good question.
Is this a freemium model? I mean, everybody can use a limited version of what you do, and then if you want the real thing, you have to pay for it? How does that work?
No, everything is for free. Everything is open source.
You need to make some money at some point.
Definitely. So we are selling enterprise subscriptions. These are support contracts. So if you're a big organization, you probably want to work together with us to make sure that you have the support, the security, the scalability, and basic access to the experts. But the software itself is for free.
Okay. And there is one word that you're using, it's self-hosted. What does that mean? Does that mean that if I'm a big company with my own data center, I could install all the pieces in my data center, but I can use also a cloud services provider.
Exactly, you have the choice.
Of my choice.
Exactly, you have the choice, and you can also migrate between them. Maybe you start with a service provider first, and then later you decide, I want to move it in-house, or I want to move it to a partner company. You can move it around, and you can really decide where your data is. That's the point.
But if I hosted that in AWS, for example, it's not. What about the digital sovereignty?
Exactly. We actually have users and customers who host it in AWS. It's possible, but doesn't make a lot of sense, as you said, because you really want to keep it in Europe.
So who are the cloud services provider of your choice?
Yeah, I mean, we work with OVH in France, for example. We work with Ionos in Germany, German Telecom, lots of different providers.
Okay, so mostly European providers in general.
Yeah, I mean, most of our customers like Nextcloud because they want to have the data in Europe. So we work a lot with Europe providers, yeah.
Okay, so we talk a lot about Nextcloud recently because there was that big contract with the Région Île-de-France, with a partner called Leviia, a French partner, and with Worldline as well.
Yes.
So could you explain a little bit about what is this a good representing contract that you are doing everywhere in France or elsewhere?
Yes, we have similar contracts all over Europe, but now in France there's a lot of momentum at the moment. For example, as you said, like the Ministry of Education is actually working together with us, and there are a few 100,000 users already today, but the goal is to move to 1.2 million users actually, and that's very, very interesting. And then with another partner we work with the different cities and different municipalities in France, and there's also other contracts with the industry, especially in the defense sector, for example. So it's actually really spreading at the moment in France.
So you're signing directly with the Minister of Education in France? That's the case?
Yes.
And how big is that contract?
It's the maximum user number is 1.2 million users. And
so I suppose the users are the teachers, the administration, and also the pupils.
Actually, not the students. These are just teachers and administrative staff.
So all of that is 1 million people, roughly. Yeah. Okay. And so when do you think you will get to that goal? I mean, to that level, 1 million people using that software? How long will it take to do that? I mean,
I cannot really say. It depends on the ministry, but they are very ambitious, and I think this can happen in, I don't know, a year or two.
And so they are replacing existing software,
yes.
I suppose Microsoft,
exactly.
to what you're doing?
Exactly.
So first of all, what is Leviia doing in that partnership?
Yeah, Leviia is also providing Nextcloud to different ministries. This is a different contract actually, and they're helping us like with the deployment, with the migration, with the operations of it. Because Nextcloud we focus purely as a software company. We're only doing the software, and then this kind of partners they're doing the rollout and bringing it to the.
So it's like a services company.
Exactly.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And this will be hosted in what kind of cloud service provider?
I'm actually not really completely sure. It's some cloud infrastructure.
A French one?
Definitely French.
I suppose.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the first major contract you signed in France.
Yeah.
And you have some in the way.
Yes.
That you could mention, or?
Yeah, we have like a similar contract in the Netherlands, for example, or in Germany, also in Sweden. We also signed the government of Austria at the moment, so it's really all over Europe.
And it's, I suppose, the public sector will be pretty strong in terms of.
Yeah. The public sector is very strong, but also universities is very strong and schools.
Well, I consider that as a public
sector.
sector.
True.
Well, some of them are private. But,
yes.
Yeah. And so in the private sector?
In the private sector too. So for example, we have companies who really care about data protection. Most of them don't want to be mentioned.
So the defense industry, maybe?
Defense industry is very strong, exactly, yeah.
Okay. You had the Nextcloud Enterprise Day this week.
Yes.
Did you make some major announcement? And what were the feedback you received from your customer and from the partner? And I think on the side you signed a partnership with a French company called Smile.
Yes.
So could you?
Yeah, definitely. So this is the third time we do this Enterprise Day in Paris now.
Oh, this is the first one?
The third.
The third. Okay.
The third, yeah.
Third. Okay.
Yeah, and the first one was quite small. The second one was already 100 people. And this time we had over 240 people registering for it. So it was actually quite impressive, the growth that we see there. And as you said, we have this partnership with Smile, which is the leading open source integrator here in France. And we're working on an interesting project in healthcare, in the healthcare sector together. So I'm really happy about this partnership.
And so there is for me, but maybe for the people, there is a misconception of what is Nextcloud. You are an open source software company. You are not a cloud services provider at all.
Exactly. I sometimes make the joke that I picked the wrong name because we're actually not cloud.
Yeah.
We enable other people to run their own cloud.
I see.
Yeah.
And yourself, you founded, before that, previously, you founded another company called ownCloud, which was providing that kind of service or different service? Yeah,
it was a similar idea. This was basically the first iteration, so Nextcloud is a successor of that.
So why did you change? I mean, started another company.
There's a change of strategy there. ownCloud at the time was actually founded in the US, was a US company, and now we decided with Nextcloud to be purely European.
European, okay. Yeah. Do you really think that you could compete with Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace? And how do you because you know, of course, all the people involved in the digital sovereignty, I suppose they are interested in what you do, but then, you know, if they are using Microsoft 365, they have to do the migration, and for example, maybe for the Région Île-de-France, you can tell us about how do you do that, migrating from MS 365 to your solution. Is that easy? How many people does that involve along with it?
Yeah, so we actually did this migration several times already for big customers, and we have.
You name some of them?
Well, we have some universities, for example, University of Stockholm doing that. We have a big project with universities in the Netherlands at the moment doing the same. We have several cities in Germany, like city of Cologne, city of Stuttgart. So they're different projects, and we're doing this migration. It can be harder and easier. It depends what you need to migrate. For example, migrating files is quite straightforward. Migrating from SharePoint to Nextcloud is straightforward. Migrating from Teams to Nextcloud Talk is a little bit harder, but we also have our experts who can do that.
So in your company or with
these are partner companies.
Partner companies.
Yes.
So every time you sign a contract, you are doing that with a partner.
Exactly, because we want to focus on doing the software.
I see. How do you be sure that you are all the thing you are selling is give you the freedom of U.S. extraterritorial laws? And we're talking about the Cloud Act and
Yes.
the FISA, because it's not only your software but also the cloud you are going to use. So
Exactly.
you have to be sure that the two pieces will be right there. So how do you ensure that? Because if the clients wants to be, it don't matter that much about doesn't matter about the cloud service provider. I mean, you're not sure that you're going to be freedom of those. So how does that work?
Yeah.
What advice do you give to your customers?
Yeah, it's usually the choice of the customer where they want to run Nextcloud. Lots of them, they already have their favorites. Maybe they have already existing partner contract with a nice European or French service provider and say, okay, just run it there. Sometimes they ask us for advice. If they ask us, we recommend like the market leaders like OVH, for example, in France here, which is a good partner. But at the end of the day, it's the choice of the customer. It's also the point of Nextcloud, that the customer is in control where the data is.
Mm-hmm. In terms of prices, how do you compare with the other two, the two major? Because we always talk about Microsoft and Google.
Yeah.
How do you compare in terms of prices per unit, for example, with a similar configuration?
Yeah. So I mean, the point of Nextcloud is usually to be better, not to be cheaper. In reality, we are also cheaper, but we don't want to be the cheap alternative. We want to be the better alternative. But it's more affordable too.
So you think in terms of quality, functionalities, you are at the level with M365? Because I think usually a lot of people are thinking, well, I'm going to switch to your solution, or there are other ones. It will be, I will be sure about that digital sovereignty, but then in terms of functionality, it will be not at the same level, and then it will cost less. So this is not your approach.
Yeah, so the functionality is there. I don't think we have lots of gaps here. The functionality is fine. Sometimes we're facing the challenge of the user acceptance, because the interface looks a little bit different. There are some people who think that the button should need to look like that, or the button should be left or right. Sometimes it looks a little bit different, and then some people are confused, and we're trying to make the interface as familiar as possible, but the functionality is there.
So when you think of Microsoft 365, it's like a piece of software. It's very integrated.
Yes.
We think about Nextcloud, it looks like there are different apps, independent and not very much integrated. Is that the case?
So we have the core functionality that's provided by us. There are also different apps, that's true, the files you can share part, chat, video conferencing, mail, calendar, contacts. They are developed by us as a company, and they're very well integrated actually. But they're also modular. You can replace them with other components, and you can also add external ones. And we have a rich ecosystem, and of course there are sometimes third-party apps that are not so well integrated. But you can pick and choose what you want.
Who is doing the integration between all these parts?
I mean, the core functionality is done by us, but it's actually a platform where lots of other companies also providing components, and then they're doing their own work. Okay,
so the right way to see it's like you have a core platform, and then you have extra around that.
Yes.
In terms of the European environment, the regulation are, we're pretty strong. Usually we say innovation is in the States, production is in China, and regulation is in the Europe.
Yes.
But how do you think that? Do you think that this is a burden, or that it's all the opposite? It's a good thing for a service provider, and of course, in France we have what we call the second cloud. I don't know if you're going to apply for that or not. But then we have at the European level we have the EUCS, which is not done yet, but it's on the way. We hope it's going to. So how do you see all that?
Good question. So I know that a lot of companies are skeptical about regulations. I have to say maybe I'm a little bit different, because I think it's actually helpful. For example, there is a Digital Markets Act, in Europe. That's a regulation which makes sure that data can be like exported and imported, basically make sure that data can be migrated between different solutions. I think that's a good thing. But I also think it's actually not strong enough. So a lot of people think that regulation can solve the digital sovereignty problem. I think it can be part of the solution, but I don't think it's actually strong enough. What really needs to be done is to build...
So in your way, you think regulation, it's not the only thing, and it's in Europe, it's not strong enough to defend what we are going to do. So what else do we need?
I think we need to make sure that we have a really rich, growing, open source industry in Europe, which builds like different solutions, competing with each other, and are building really strong products that are competitive to the US ones. And for that, for example, it would be nice if European Commission or different countries would say, hey, like 50% of the spending, the IT spending, should go to open source European countries. And then we would build up this ecosystem, and that's the real solution.
So we need to have the public and also the private buying.
I think so. Yeah.
And do you think we also would need like a small business act or the equivalent in Europe?
Yeah, I think so. I think it can be helpful. I mean, the startup scene and the overall ecosystem. I think with lots of innovation and like innovative products and open source, I think this is the future.
So in Europe we are very dependent on the let's face it, the American software industry. When you and we know the way it's working because they've been there. They've been here for a long time. It's just recently we were thinking, oh, maybe they are not that friendly anymore. But when you go to the US, how do you see the market over there? How they think a company like yours?
Yeah, so we actually have lots of customers in the US. Because in the US is also the
American customer,
yes.
not the like European customer doing a business in the US.
We have American companies and also public sector working with Nextcloud. It's a bit like smaller than in Europe because the whole like digital sovereignty aspect is of course a bit weaker there.
Yeah, they don't care about that over there. I suppose when they buy your software, they don't really care because you know the choice would be your like software like yours or Microsoft, and for them Microsoft is not a problem.
It's not a problem.
In terms of it would be a little bit costly. Yeah.
From the political level, it's not a problem. But there are still a lot of organizations who care about security and privacy, and that then use Nextcloud to have it like the data local.
We are. Of course, there is no way that we can talk about AI, and because you know Microsoft and Google and all the other are putting a lot of AI in their software. And for example, Microsoft just announced recently that you know they will increase the price because they are putting a lot of AI thing.
Yeah.
What do you do in terms of AI in your products?
Yeah.
And, exactly how does that work?
Yeah.
Is it, also open source, or is this a different way of working?
No, everything is open source, everything is local. So we have a lot of AI features. For example, you can, I don't know, summarize email threads, you can generate email responses, you can have transcripts and summaries of video calls, you can like translate documents, generate documents. We have lots of AI features. The interesting thing is that the backend, again, you can choose where the AI is running. You can run it completely local on your own hosting center. You need some GPUs on your servers, of course, but then you can keep it local. Or we also have partnerships with European AI service providers. For example, OVH is also building or providing large language models as a service. So you can also integrate them, and then you can make sure that the data stays then in Europe.
You mentioned the Franco-German summit recently, and it looks like there is they try to integrate Mistral and SAP. Are you some connection with Mistral as well?
We also work with Mistral. We have a connector to them, and you can use Mistral in Nextcloud if you want. Okay.
So, in other words, it would be possible to use 100% open source AI in what you do?
Yes, exactly.
And so that's 100% open AI, open source AI?
Yes.
So it means we don't know where it's coming from. I mean, they are not coming from the company we're mentioning every day, like OpenAI or Anthropic. There are pieces of open source software difference.
I mean, of course, you have to ask Mistral what they use for training their models. This is I'm not an expert in, but I can say that the data, your company data, will stay inside Nextcloud. This will not be used for training the model, so it will stay completely local. And we're also not sending data to other countries, so it's only the configured LLM in Nextcloud. The LLM itself, of course, we don't do that. You have to ask like other companies for that, how they train their models. But your proprietary internal data in your organization stays private.
If you do that in your own data center, I suppose, right?
Yes, yeah.
And that's what you recommend for some of your customers?
For highest security, I recommend to do everything in your private hosting center. But of course, you can also outsource it to European companies like OVH or IONOS. Then the Cloud Act doesn't apply, right? It's all GDPR compliant, obviously. I would not recommend it to work together with companies outside Europe, because then you don't know what happens with the data.
How are you funded? Are you raising money from investors, or are you making your own money to develop your company? How does that work?
I'm actually very happy and proud that we don't require external funding. So we are successfully with our customers that we can grow organically. So we don't have any external funding.
So you pay for your own development?
Yes.
But don't you think that if you had some money coming from some investor, you could accelerate a little bit?
Yeah, sure. But the money is not for free.
That's not your choice.
I did this before in a previous company, and I decided this time to be completely independent. Because this investor money doesn't come for free. It comes with a lot of requirements, and you have to. It comes with a lot of problems. So I'm really happy that we're independent now.
How do you see Nextcloud in 3 years?
I mean, I think
like a bigger one or a different company?
No, definitely bigger. I mean, we are growing.
Yeah, sure, but just bigger or different company?
I mean, we focus on the collaboration space, and I think we will stay with this focus. But we're growing over 50% every year. So I see, and now is of course the time for digital sovereign solutions. So I see us as a market leader in this space.
So we talked a little bit through the interview about digital sovereignty. Because you are in France and you are of course very much in Germany. How do you see the way that the two countries are thinking about the digital sovereignty? Does it mean anything to think that at the national level, or we have to think all of this kind of a subject at the European level?
I'm really a European. I think this is a topic for Europe. I don't think a single country like France or Germany can do it on their own. I think we, as Europe, we need to move closer together and solve this problem together.
But do you think we have a chance against our biggest competitors?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. And also, what would be the alternative? Giving up? I think that's not good.
Okay, I think that's a message of hope, and then we're going to finish with that. Frank Karlitschek, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.